Serb, wasn't today supposed to be Wrecking Ship 3? I mean, yes, but things change and my schedule is just there to make it look like I actually have a plan. And then really stick to it. Then what's the point? Does it look like I'm the kind of person who's organised? Yeah, anyway, can we get on with the video please? Legends! Welcome back to my channel, I'm not Cerberus, and today we're going to take a look at the Tier 6 Premium Russian Destroyer, Ognevoi, which at the time of writing is available to obtain for 31,250 tabs from the Rust and Rumble event store. Well, if you don't have time to grind that out, then you could just buy 125 of the Halloween 2.0 crates, but anyway, if you want to skip ahead to any particular segment, you can check out the description below for the timestamps, and you can also find links to my other channels too. And those of you who think my videos are always too long, well, you can please note this video will be relatively short because I can't find very much to say on Ognevoi. I can't find a service record, I can only find the initial design specs, so yeah, it'll be very brief. So, onwards and upwards, Ognevoi, or Fiery is what it translates to, was laid down in Nikolaev in Ukraine on November 20th, 1939. Launched on November 12th the following year, but then the German invasion of the Soviet Union happened and the ship was towed away all the way to Georgia to be completed and commissioned into the fleet on March 22nd, 1945. The ship was armed with two twin 130mm guns, which, if they look familiar to Tashkent's guns, is because they are in fact the same guns. Not as in they are the same type, they are in fact the guns from Tashkent, as that ship was sunk, she was salvaged, and they took out the guns and plonked them inside Ognevoi. Her main guns are supplemented by two triple 533mm torpedo launchers, although an alternative design variant did feature two quintuple launchers, although these were never featured on this particular class. The Ognevoi class, or Project 30 as they were known, were designed as successors to the Storozhevoi and Gnevny class destroyers, being large and better protected. 24 ships were planned, but only 11 were ever completed. Ognevoi itself was the only ship completed during World War II, with the remaining ships being completed to a slightly altered specification and will be designated Project 30K, or 30 Corrected. Further enhancements and modifications to the design would birth the Project 30 Beast, or Skory class destroyer, with these featuring the dual quintuple launchers which were initially planned for the Ognevoi class. The Skory class destroyers would become the Soviet Navy's most mass-produced ship, with 70 being produced. Sadly, very little information is actually known about Ognevoi's service record by the West, other than that she was struck and decommissioned, sold for scrap sometime in the 1960s. With the ship's brief history out of the way, before we get onto my builds, scrap any notion whatsoever that this ship is like Leningrad or Minsk, because it simply isn't. Ognevoi is a through and through torpedo boat and should be spec'd appropriately, and in my opinion, she is the boat that Benham wishes she was, but isn't. For my commander, I am using a level 14-2 of Vladimir Trubetskoy, and I'm rocking Contact Imminent. Look at me now, Twist and Track, Cloudy Days, and Unstoppable, with an 11-1 Jerzy Swirsky and 11-2 Erich Speer as my inspirations. If you don't have Swirsky, then either Sims for extra hit points, Vine for extra enemy dispersion debuffs, Fraser or Furio for speed, and Turwitz for torpedo reload and steering gear durability will make for good alternatives, as would Azulane Otago for that increased torpedo concealment. For my modules, it is straightforward, using Aiming System Mod 1, Propulsion Mod 2 and Concealment Mod. The ship comes with the choice of either dual triple torpedoes or dual quintuple torpedoes. I would absolutely recommend the quintuples and just ignore the triples, they're not really worth using. In terms of statistics, with my current build you can expect to have a not too shabby 16,100 hit points with 20mm max armour. Your guns, while being few in number, are in fact twin 130mm guns from Tashkent. They have a decent fire range of 10.8 km, a 5-second reload and a 14.5 second turret traverse time. When it comes to raw damage, they have a decent 1900 damage with 80% fire chance on the HE rounds and 2500 AP shell damage when you score citadels. On the torpedo launchers, as mentioned before, you have two choices. You've got two triple launchers or two quintuple launchers. The two triples have a 55-second reload and the quintuples have 92 seconds. Ignore the former and stick with the latter. Both sets of torpedoes have 10 km range. They do 15,100 damage with a base speed of 56 knots, but you can bump that up to 60 knots with Contact Imminent, and they have a base detectability range of 1.1 km. These torpedoes utterly shit all over poor Benham, and makes me feel really sorry for that poor ship. With a 37 knot top speed, Ognevoi is no slouch either, although her rudder shift and turn radius are pretty poor with 4.8 seconds and 610 meters respectively, but if you do keep your wits about you, you won't need to be doing much in the way of turning. And when it comes to concealment, she's by far and away the most stealthy of the Russian destroyers at this level, and actually edges out the competition for the US and French, I currently have her at 5.2 kilometers. However, if my inspirations were maxed out, I reckon I can get that down to bang on 5 kilometers, give or take, which puts her in the ballpark playing field of the IGN destroyers for stealth firing torpedo capability. Detectability by air is 3.2 kilometers, with the smoke firing penalty being 2.8. And consumable wise, she is your bog standard destroyer with a 5-second duration, 40-second reload damage control party, with a 20-second deployment, 85-second duration smokescreen with 2 charges, although using my Clouded Days skill I have that with 16 and 68 seconds respectively, with a 240-second reload. Her engine boost is the usual run-of-the-mill one as well, with an 8% boost to your top speed for 120 seconds with a 180-second cooldown and 2 charges, although because I'm running Clouded Days, my reload is down to 153 seconds. And so, onto the playstyle of this boat. It's a simple one really. For domination game modes, don't get detected, enter cap circles and stay on the very outer edge as far from your enemies as possible, using your concealment and your twist and track to get into position and being clever so that you can get an idea of where undetected threats are going to be and then vomit out your 10 torpedoes directly at them. In most cases you'll strike 1 or 2 or at least force ships onto a predicted course for your teammates to then nuke. In capture the flag game modes, if you don't fancy playing the objective for whatever reason, you can either try and stick with a gunboat or a cruiser so that they can attract the fire first, allowing you to sneak in and unleash all of your wigglies into an unsuspecting enemy. While the torpedoes are slow, they are difficult to detect without sonar. Or avoid obvious areas where DDs tend to go, get in position along flanks and try and catch ships that are trying to avoid being broadside to ships with bigger guns than them, and then unleash your load all over them. Alternatively, you could just hover just outside detection range of battleships until they've fired, say hello to them with 10 of your friends and then watch them disappear under the water, having been on the receiving end of a 10 torpedo depth strike. Naturally, as a torpedo boat, you really want to avoid ships with either more guns than you or a faster reload, which, to be honest, is kind of most destroyers, so just stay out of range of destroyers unless you really have to. You only have 4 guns and they are in 2 twin turrets, so do keep that in mind if you do have to get into a gunfight. Also, cruiser heavy games suck ass. Really, really badly. Or if you can't bother taking on board what I've just said in this last about minute and a half, the too long didn't read version is that if you're familiar with Japanese torpedo boats, you'll be right at home with this ship. So, is it a good boat? Oh, absolutely fuck yes. This is the best premium destroyer we've had since Yudachi, and for my money, ignoring Yudachi because that was inevitably going to be glorious, the best premium we've had since Wichita? She has solid hit points for a destroyer, a reasonable concealment, a good top speed with long range, hard hitting stealthy torpedoes that have a pretty decent reload at the expense of main gun firepower and some lackluster agility. This is what Benham should have been. Sure, that ship has 16 torpedoes, but they only do 9,200 damage. They also only have a 7.5km range, and to get all of its torpedoes off, it has to do a full 180. And then its reload of 85 seconds may seem good on paper, but if you compare it to Ognevoi, with her 10 torpedoes, her 10km range, her 15,100 damage, and a reload of 92 seconds, and the ship itself having more hit points and better concealment, on top of the damage reduction which Trebetskoy offers as his base rate, you can see where I'm going with this. Ognevoi is just the better torpedo boat and straight up outclasses Benham in pretty much every single respect where it matters. The elephant in the room, however, is whether Ognevoi is worth the grind. I concede that it's a very lengthy grind, and there's no denying that it will get tedious if you play it non-stop, but ultimately you do have 20 days to do it, or thereabouts, and it is also a tier 6 premium that you can obtain entirely for free, and that's not something to be scoffed at. If you don't have the time to commit to the event, then finish up the campaign and make it through the Benham is probably going to be your best choice if you're on the torpedo boat. But if you have the time, or you can afford to throw a few thousand doubloons at the game for the crates, then Ognevoi is certainly a worthy prize. And that brings me on to the end of the video, and this rather brief review of Ognevoi. For my money, she's the best tier 6 Russian destroyer by a long shot. Dare I say the best Russian destroyer behind an upgraded Tashkent, and is certainly up there with the best of tier 6. Thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, please do leave a big thumbs up below. Slap that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when I upload in the future. It also helps the channel massively too. Take care, and I'll catch you next time. Bye for now.